Growing up as a kid in Cronulla Beach in the suburbs of Sydney, I can remember at high school when I was 13 realising I had the worst reputation a guy could have had. I was in all the top classes, got on with my parents and teachers, was a good kid and basically uncool. And as a 13-year-old that becomes so important, and the coolest people at my school were the surfers, and I thought, that's the person I want to become. Like I said, I didn't come from a Christian background at all, but had a taste of faith through a boys' club that had run in the local area, and had a few Jesus stories. And I liked those stories, but man, when surfing came along, God had to go, because the world of surfing and the world of Christianity were just worlds apart. And I made a deal with God that when I was old and gonna die, then I would sort of think about God seriously. But hey, I'm 13 years old in the prime of life, I'm going surfing. So surfing became my sport, it became my whole lifestyle, but even bigger, it became my identity, and I was a surfer wholeheartedly. But the cracks started to show when I realised the surfing I was building my life on, with a wind change, an extra couple of people paddling out, I wouldn't complete a manoeuvre, it felt it was over. And the surfers that I was aspiring to were great surfers, but not necessarily great people. And I saw the womanizing, the drug and alcohol abuse, and I was asking myself, is that really what you want to become? So you can imagine my surprise meeting a Christian who was a surfer at high school and seeing those two worlds in one. And in the 70s, that was really two different, very different worlds. And I was so taken by this surfer who was a Christian. And he became one of my best friends. He shared his life. He shared this story of Jesus with me again, and he got me to go to a church by telling me there were good-looking girls there and you could leave your surfboard instead of taking it on the train. So I went, and I was surprised to see those two things were true. There were good-looking girls and I was able to leave my surfboard there. But my big surprise, the biggest surprise, was hearing this message of Jesus and realizing, oh my goodness, this is this incredible message of the life of God given for me, the grace and forgiveness of Jesus, his life, his death and resurrection. And I quietly prayed, and I'd been told you could pray this prayer, and I waited for some emotional experience and nothing happened, and I sort of felt ripped off, like, God, are you really there? And the lightning bolt never really came, but the deep assurance that if God had gone to all that trouble to send his only son, Jesus, to die for me, he wasn't about to ignore that request when I finally said yes. So I had this quiet, deep assurance that I'd been heard, that I'd been accepted and forgiven, and now I had a new life to live with him. So it wasn't just what I was saved from my guilt, from my shame, from my own sins and the consequences of that, but also what I was saved to, a life of purpose and meaning, and surfing was part of that. And it's been this incredible adventure of walking with God as my foundation, surfing being in its right place. And I guess I went from worshipping the waves that God made to worshipping the God who made the waves, and that changed everything, to get things in their right perspective, putting God first, and everything else fell in place behind that, and it's been the greatest foundation ever since.